A massive, prolonged fire hose of severe weather is getting ready to set up shop over the Great Plains as well as a lot of other areas in the central U.S. Who all will be impacted and how intense can these storms get? We'll find out in today's video. Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here, back with another severe weather outlook and discussion. I tried to do one of these earlier, but kind of failed a little bit. One of the websites I was using was glitching out a lot, so hopefully in this video things will be fixed. But we are going to be heading right into the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook right off the bat. We have a slight risk of severe weather here across northern Kansas and even portions of southern Nebraska as well, where we could be talking about some severe weather later on this evening. Actually, some of it is ongoing already. We're talking about a 2% chance of tornadoes within 25 miles of a given point, and a bit of a strong tornado risk. If we could see some supercells fire, 15% chance of wind, and even some hail as well, some large hail being possible. And before we move on to the other days, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the radar and maybe one of the models for what could happen later this evening. And fortunately, it does appear that the website did delete one of my radar overlays, so we're going to have to use WeatherWise for today's video, unfortunately. But we are talking about some supercells, some clusters kind of firing up here in portions of northern Kansas. And some of these areas here is kind of taking on a loop here. You can definitely see these are producing some pretty large hail at the current moment, and some of these are even gaining some hooking structures to them as well. And if we go ahead and, check velocity here, you better to use storm relative velocity. You could see we have very minor areas of rotation, but again, it's really not that significant, not nearly enough for a tornado warning to be issued, so that's some good news. We have some other cells a little further off to the south here in some of these areas, but really they are not posing much of an issue as of yet. Nice cell up near Lincoln and some of those areas there. For the rest of the evening, we'll continue to see these supercells fire up. We could even see a couple of more, and maybe even, like I said, a very conditional, isolated, strong tornado risk in some areas. You could see this kind of begins to fizzle out by midnight tonight, but some other storms are possible across southwestern Kansas. The main threats could be damaging winds, large hail, and as we go ahead and take a look at tomorrow's severe weather risk, we're not really talking about too much, only a marginal risk here across, say, Kansas and Oklahoma. That's really nothing to worry about, not much of a tornado risk with that. As we head into day 3, we're going to begin to see maybe the return of more active severe weather days here. We do have a slight risk level 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale for portions of southwestern Texas there. So that's something we're going to really have to watch out for. And at the current point in time, we are not expecting anything significant, but that could definitely change as we continue to look through our models. On day 4, we're talking about a slight risk of severe weather, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, where we could definitely be talking about all hazards, and certainly could be talking about a tornado risk as well. The same does exist for day 5, except it's a much larger area, and things are going to start getting pretty concerning after this point here. I do believe, as we go into day 5, that'll be on Monday, and so we'll have to watch out for that. But Tuesday, day 6, looks to be the main event. We could be talking about maybe a few strong tornadoes being possible, and it's somewhere in this risk area. We are definitely going to be seeing damaging winds, large hail. This could easily become a severe weather outbreak, and we're really going to need to watch this closely over the next few days. Into day 7, this risk of severe weather will begin to shift a little further off to the east, and even portions of western Tennessee could maybe begin to get involved. So we're going to have to really wait and see what this does, what models trend with this. This could go easily back off to the west again, but we don't know that as of yet. Now, as we take a look at a more detailed projection here on our long range, this is going to be our European model, and we're going to notice a few things. This is going to be our mid-level jet here. You can see we do have a little bit of a weak trough ejection coming into the western U.S. right here. That's not really going to do all too much, but that is going to be our main Kickstarter of our severe weather sequence, but it's really not going to be until this main trough out here arrives, a stronger trough, when things become a lot more active. But still, looking at this on Sunday, We do have some mid-level flow here across the Great Plains, even going further off to the northeast. And so, like I said, like I've been seeing, Sunday does have a strong tornado risk, though very conditional due to a few other factors. But you see our main trough ejection arriving Monday. We're going to be talking about some severe weather down here in the plains again. You could see a neutrally tilted, even a slightly negatively tilted trough right there. And as we head into Tuesday, this thing will really begin to intensify, and we're going to be talking about certainly a much more significant system here. Looks like a negatively tilted shortwave, or even two shortwaves here, is going to contribute to a lot of flow in the mid-levels. This is not that significant compared to some of our other models, but this is still seriously going to be something to watch out for. You can see certainly a lot of flow. And then even after that, going into Wednesday, our flow pattern remains. I mean, we're going to have daily tornado risks out here for the plains, no doubt about that. Heading on through into Thursday, this just continues, and really, there's really no signs of this stopping here anytime soon, so we're just going to have to kind of stay on high alert here across the plains. How does our GFS model differ? Again, 500 millibar winds, this is the same parameter. For Sunday, we do have a lot less mid-level flow, so your tornado risk would be a lot lower across the Great Plains. So look at the conditional strong tornado risk, any storms at fire. Going into Monday, again, you do see this right here. This does look to be a negatively tilted shortwave right there, right situated over Oklahoma on the dry line. That's something to watch out for. But Tuesday on the GFS is a lot more serious here. This would certainly have tornado outbreak potential here. Again, like I said, across the plains, it's going to be the same areas over and over and over again, though this could maybe be a bit more expansive. But you could see clear, negatively tilted, strong shortwave there, borderline trough. I mean, that is really well carved out. And again, those areas with all your mid-level flow, strong tornadoes are possible, maybe even likely. We'll have to wait and see on that. Wednesday, we'll continue to move through. Our flow begins to flatten out a bit, so we're already seeing differences from our European model. Thursday, really not much to talk about. Large hail in Texas, maybe. And then again, after that, things remain very active. You get a little bit, of a stronger jet stream overall. You don't really need many trough ejections, but you'll see the occasional short wave kind of whip on by, like right here. You have a short wave, and that could contribute to elevated severe weather there, and then some of the other areas as well that you see on your screen. And we could potentially see maybe another big event going into, say, late April event or two. Your 700 millibar winds here, we're going to take a look at this to kind of find any of our short waves that may be hidden in right here. For Sunday, we don't really see anything too defined on our European model. Again, right here, got a little bit of a nudge. Stuff can maybe fire, but we'll have to wait and see. There's pretty big mild discrepancies as of now for Sunday. As for Monday, you could see it roughly remains the same thing. Again, Tuesday, though, on our European model, you can see our main shortwave right there. Main corridor of severe weather is going to be right in here, so that's something we're definitely going to have to watch out for. And then going on into Wednesday, you could see a sneaky little shortwave right there. Couldn't really see this too well, up higher in the atmosphere. We're looking at values a little bit lower down. You could see definitely becoming a little bit more defined, and then just a parade of shortwaves thereafter. Our GFS has roughly the same idea. For Sunday, we see something a little bit more pronounced right here. That would likely cause our dry line to fire right there. Something we're going to have to watch out for. And as we continue on through, again, you could see, I sound like a broken record, but you have more systems that move through. And then even going into a later April, again, system after system after system is looking more likely. Our lower level jet response, what does that look like? So basically our kinematic field here, as we head into Saturday, you could see our lower level jet really does ramp up across a very large area here. And that would definitely be supportive of a tornado risk. As we head on into Sunday here, looks a little bit displaced, but still, we can maybe make it work. But definitely a lesser tornado risk. Sunday's uncertain. As we head into Monday, same sort of song and dance, but look at right along the dry line, you have 50 knot shear, so that could definitely cause some issues. And then, of course, as we head into Tuesday, that is going to be a big issue up there if we can see any storms fire in that environment. After this, return flow will just continue to come back over and over again. GFS, roughly the same song and dance, but a little bit more pronounced like Sunday's event here. Like Sunday does try and get a better lower level jet response as we head on into Monday, then Tuesday. Tuesday, again, looking like more one of the significant days. And like I said, I'll just continue playing it out. You can see it really stays locked and loaded over the plains. We're also going into the Midwest. We can't forget about you all. You're also going to remain very active probably through the rest of April. In terms of our dew points here, kind of like your thermodynamics moving through, you can see all of your warm, moist, unstable air advecting off to the north here into your plains. Even some 70-degree dew points trying to etch into Oklahoma there. And again, that's what we're really going to have to watch for. And this just continues, more and more moisture piling up to the north. And that's going to be the theme, like I said, for the rest of the month. How about our GFS model? What does it show? Well, it basically shows the exact same thing. I mean, you could see elevated dew points getting up there, and you could see that really does continue through the rest of the month potentially. Our storm energy on our European model, you can see it really beginning to build up there going into tomorrow, going into Saturday. Sunday, again, take a look at this. We're talking around 2,000 to 3,000 Cape there. That is well over enough to get severe weather going. You can see actually what appears to be this entire area favorable for severe weather. I mean, look at that. We're talking from Texas all the way up to Minnesota. And that's something we're going to have to look out for. And up here, I do think a conditionally stronger severe weather signal up into this area here, kind of along your triple point. You got a bit of what looks like a low pressure there, kind of an arc that forms there. If we see any supercells off of that arc, it could get pretty nasty. So we're going to have to watch out for that. And our storm energy continues to rebuild on Monday. A lot of these days will be conditional in nature, so not really high wind shear, but a lot of storm energy. Of course, Tuesday has got outbreak potential written all over it for that entire area, especially, right within here. That looks to be quite a bit more problematic in nature. Something we'll have to look out for into Wednesday. Again, your storm energy will stay because, you're going to have constant return flow from the Gulf, so you're going to have definitely a lot of storm fuel to work with through the rest of April. GFS, same song and dance indeed. You could see Sunday a little bit more widespread in nature with your higher end storm energy. And I just sound like a broken record, so I'm going to try and speed through this. You could definitely see some periods of upwards of over 3,000 storm energy, approaching 4,000 on some days. That could be very significant. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at our combined supercell composite here, and also what our radar could look like on our GFS model, you can see the following here. Definitely some storms being possible tomorrow. Taking a look here at Saturday, you have some pretty intense return flow here. That's definitely something to note. And again, I do think a lot of supercells are going to be likely down here into portions of Texas, kind of right down within here with that system. That definitely does look to be possible. And then again, we continue on through into Sunday here. Look at that parameter space. If anything fires anywhere within this area, yeah, we could definitely be talking about a strong tornado risk, potentially even something a little bit greater than that in such an environment. That's not to be messed with. I'll be completely honest. As we head into Monday, same thing kind of goes for that. This parameter space is even more loaded. Look at that. Yeah, that is going to be a big issue. If we have a storm firing in this area here, especially, looks to be a little bit of a triple point right here. If we get a stray, maybe semi-discrete supercell that fires there, I could definitely favor maybe an upper echelon supercell threat for that area, but we're going to have to wait and see. And our parameters continue to overspread as we go into Tuesday. Again, that's going to probably be our biggest day. Storms actually do fire in quite a crazy environment. They're quite a volatile environment, if you're going to ask me. And this, again, continues to return to the north, and you're going to continue seeing more events. Look at that dry line situation there. That is going to be very interesting. That is going to be our second wave of severe weather. You can think of the wave coming up as our first one, then our second one going into late April. Could be, talking about maybe an intense threat there and there if any storms fire. Very, very important. Very something to really watch out for. My goodness, I'm stuttering over my words. And that parameter space is very volatile, and this really does continue. And I mean, that, jeez. Yeah, we're going to have days like that where if storms fire, yeah, it's not going to be pretty. And our GEFS ensemble, I should probably point this out, is showing a ton of ascending flow here for our upcoming event. Look at Tuesday. Man, that lower level jet is screaming. I really do think we could be talking about an enhanced to a moderate risk of severe weather on Tuesday somewhere. I don't exactly know where, but seeing... Look at that on your ensemble. That is remarkable. And then this continues, and then you see again, here's wave 2. You can see how it becomes more pronounced across the plains again. Also, things become more zonal aloft, but at the surface, you're still getting return flow. Big time dryline days are going to be possible into late April with, strong, dare I say, potentially even intense tornado potential, but that's in the long range. Now, as we look at our supercell composite here from an ensemble standpoint, look at your orange colors there, so certainly going to be quite a parameter space available for Sunday. Monday, that becomes a lot more problematic. Monday is going to be a very conditional day as well, it looks like. That could potentially have a higher end ceiling than Tuesday, depending on a lot of different factors. But let's not go into that. It seems a little bit too in-depth, if you will. But really, you could see our yellow colors keep reappearing, meaning severe weather is likely on every single one of those days. And I mean, even towards the end of the month, you keep getting these splotches of yellow in Oklahoma, and that's not good news. Storms fire there, could be a pretty bad day. And again, your maximum supercell composite, just kind of showing you all like the higher end scenario of every single event. It's going to be locked and loaded across this entire area, and you all need to stay weather aware. Alright, and with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share this video with friends, family, and social media, and maybe even leave a comment in the section below if you have any future suggestions for me next. Like I said, tried to record this earlier, but Aguacero kind of was lagging a bit, glitching out a bit. At least I was able to load a few things on the site though, right? I mean, this is really appealing to look at for sure. That said, have a wonderful night, everyone. Stay very weather aware out there for the foreseeable future. I don't see when this is going to end. And yeah, catch you all in the next video.